course, elsewhere in this bracket, we have the other semifinals, and that is going to be Classic and Dark. So, as is typically the case with KSL, we don't really have too much Terran representation. We can get into that as we get into our first of two players. In the top right-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing CranKy Gaming. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming. It is Solar. So again, if you typically don't tune into the KSL live, we don't have a lot of Terran players. Every now and then you have like a Björn or a Maru or a Cure or a Gumiho. But something that we have noticed is that the KSL is earlier in the day for the Koreans. I say earlier, it's like noon, midday on a Saturday. But it's a Saturday. And look, I don't want to call them out, but look, a lot of the Korean Terrans are degens, okay? And they like to sleep in on Saturdays, and they usually wake up later on in the afternoon or the evening. And because of that, we see a lot of them in ESL Asia, which is at 6 p.m. But earlier at around noon on a weekend, we don't get to see too much Terran. Every now and then we get like a Cure or a Björn, but typically the KSL is more dominated by the Korean Protosses and Zergs that do wake up a little bit earlier on Saturday. I'm shaking my head. I would like to see, Björn and Gumiho and Cure be more active in KSL. They just have to wake up. they just have to wake up. Shaking my head. Or pull all-nighters. Whichever one's easier. Aye. And at least we are able to cast them more regularly in ESL Open Cup Asia. But yeah, for KSLs, it is more about the Zergs and Protosses. And as a result, I mentioned earlier, we do have herO and Solar here in the upper semis. In the lower semis, it's going to be Classic and Dark. So literally the best Protoss and the best Zerg players in Korea. Top 2 for each race. Classic and herO and Solar and Dark. So we're going to have some quality PvZs for you. Quality PvZs. And I apologize if you're a Terran fan. I do apologize. So, smurge, Bobby, smurge. For now, though, we do have some pretty standard openers. It is going to be a Stargate opener here from herO as the Stargate is thrown down in the main. Behind this, Solar just going to be joining up, saturating his bases, moving out with his Lings. Forced to take the unnatural natural as well, opting not to go for a 15 hatch. Important to bear in mind. Those wondering, there have been these new openers that have been very trendy in the European and the Korean scene. 15 and even 14 hatch timings, which do allow you to actually expand on location. But we typically see those openers on some of these smaller maps, like Near Humanity, sometimes Dragon Scales as well, just so you can be a little bit more comfortable early on. It is less economic, does hinder your overall drone count early on, but it does make it easier to defend against Glaive Adepts, for example. And does give you an easier setup to defend against the initial Oracles. Speaking of, it was a Stargate opener, not into an Oracle, into a Phoenix. Hello, herO. We have a Phoenix first, and with this Phoenix, we're going to be hunting down Overlords. One Overlord is going to go down. We have a second Overlord within herO's sights. He has Adepts, making sure he keeps tabs on this, and Solar does get supply blocked. So 2 Overlords already. Good amount of damage done here by herO. The Lings, they come in to try to delay this third base, but the Adepts are in position. And the third does get up and running. Behind this, herO is getting into Oracles, but Solar doesn't know that. He doesn't know if herO is amassing more Phoenixes or getting into Oracles. Could be anything. And what I love is that herO, he doesn't just, he doesn't shoot first. He doesn't send his first Oracle across the map. He waits for the second. He's just building up his Oracles, and now he's moving out, hoping for more of a surprise factor with those 2 Oracles. Of course, they can also one-shot drones, as they are headed towards the main. At the same time, Adepts, they do just get in position, protecting that third from any Ling counterattack. Phoenix does CC one of those Queens, and the Oracles, they just go straight for the mineral line. Oh, but an overextension. herO, he does lose an Oracle. Was not expecting that Spore. And that was only 3 drone kills for 1 Oracle. Not worth it. He gets a fourth drone towards the end. But alas, Solar, he does defend quite beautifully. And we have a game. We have a game on our hands. The Phoenixes, they got a couple of Overlord kills, but these Oracles have been a little bit lackluster from herO. He did make a 3rd Oracle, so he can still go in and redeem himself. He can still get a mineral line. He can still get drone kills. But for now, Ling's going to be threatening this 3rd base. There is no shield battery, so the Oracles, they do have to be kept back. And herO, oh my god, is going for a massive gateway explosion. We have +1 charge on the way. No gases. 6 gateways alongside the 2 that we have. This is going to be an 8 gate. Looks like an AK3 base all in. Oh my. herO with mass charge outs. Now he's not going for the Oracle base all in where he just makes non-stop Oracles. Just going to be charge outs. And a lot of them. No Templar Archives, no Archons alongside this. No Robo either. As we are just going to be amassing Zealots. Meanwhile, Solar back at home, he's none the wiser. He's trying to get a scout off. We are taking more gases. Okay, so we are opening up the avenue here to tech up into Archons. But before we can think about Archons, here come those Zealots. Oh, and it's not going to be Archons. We're going straight for Sky Toss. +1 air attack does get scouted. The Ling slips in and does scout +1 air. And sees everything in the main as well. Ay, ay, ay. So a great scout here from Solar. He realizes what's going on. The Zealots have arrived. And the Zealots are going to be forcing a cancel on this 4th base. Oof. They should have forced a cancel, but that's a kill. Solar. Not quite paying attention. He will be losing 300 minerals. He does get a kill in the Phoenix. But that was a pretty big blow. Meanwhile, back at home, herO, he is working on a 2nd Stargate, working on a fleet beacon. Now, this has been scouted. Basically, earlier, Solar, he saw the Cybercore researching. At this stage, that can only mean one thing. That can only be +1 air attack. So we already have a Spire on the way. So Solar, he's aware of the Sky Toss. But before he can really prepare for that, we do see herO maybe overextending a little bit. The Roaches are going to be able to kite against these Zealots, but actually a lot of Roaches are going down. Bearing in mind, Zealots are only minerals. This is an efficient trade for herO. Oh my god. A lot of Roaches do bleed out. And more Roaches are being forced out as well. As Solar's getting his 4th base, trying to get it back up and running. There's that Templar Archives. 3rd fully saturated. We should be working on a 4th. And this is about to get really awkward. We have a lot of Lings and Roaches out on the map, which means these Zealots, they can actually bust on through. No, they do back off. The Adepts do commit. And they are going to be able to focus down a couple of these drones. 3, 4 drones, 5 drones go down. At the same time, that was a cancel on the 4th base. Corruptors are already on the way. These carriers, again, they are not a surprise. Solar is getting ready for them. My god, that's a lot of Zealots. They are being forced back. Yeah, very fortunate that Solar was in position. God, this is just such a weird game out of herO. To go mass charge lot. It was 8 gate charge lots off of 3 bases into carriers. Carriers have been confirmed. Again, Solar was already getting ready for them. And a big Roach attack here on the right-hand side is going to force another cancel on that 4th base. At the same time, here come those Corruptors. Storm isn't done. Storm is not done, and these carriers, they're going down. One after the other. At the same time, the Roaches are kiting their hearts out against these Zealots. Finally, we have Storm finishing up. Oh my god. Oh, and the storms, they're doing so much damage. They do clean up the corruptors. No shot. Can he get the carrier? Onomas, one more shot. It's on 4 HP, Papi. Onomas. The carrier survives. No, so he wants it. He wants it. No. He does pull back. The carrier makes it out. But herO's still stuck on 3 bases. He's still stuck on 3 bases. Solar, he can just keep on rebuilding, remaxing. And really, Solar, he doesn't have to kill the carriers. He just has to deny this base over and over and over again. This time, though, herO, he holds. He does hold on to this base. Zealot run by the left-hand side, going to be distracting Solar, pulling him back. And herO, he does have a moment here to breathe. He takes a moment here to just build himself back up, focus on his ground army. We spoke about this when we casted Astrea earlier, but herO, he only made 4 carriers in total. He lost 2 of them. He has 2 left, but he's focusing on a ground army from here. Blink Stalkers, Storm, Archons. He's pushing his way through. Big Storm on these roaches. Oh my god. And a massive Storm on the right-hand side as well. And even though herO may have a smaller army, he's trading so well. Despite that, the carriers are going down. Roach reinforcements are coming in. Can Solar hold? Oh, it looks like he barely isn't. He barely is not holding. He loses his Roach Ravager army. The base is being broken. And herO, can he take down this hatchery in time? We have 10 more Roaches in production. Solar, he can afford to lose the base across the map. He's trying to take down another one of these next side, but alas, he will not be able to. herO, he snipes the base, he backs off. GG gets called, and herO will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. And it was a really interesting route that we took. So what Astrea, if you were here for Astrea versus Demago, we saw something very similar where we were talking about it. Classic and herO, and I would not be surprised if Classic does this as well in his series later on against Dark. Classic and herO, they have been playing a lot of, they've been playing around a lot with these carrier rushes where they only make 4 carriers. They only go up to 4 carriers and they go into a big ground toss transition. But to get there this game, herO went a really interesting route. Remember, he went like 8-gate charge, which was okay. You know, it traded decently. Didn't really get too much. I mean, I say it didn't get too much damage. It did kill a hatchery. To be fair, it did kill. I don't think it meant to, but it did kill a hatchery. And it allowed herO to get into these carriers. And sure, he may have been scouted, but he didn't care because he was going to make use of his gateways. He was going to maneuver into charge, into blink, into a gateway composition. He did force out a lot of corruptors, which eventually killed all the carriers. But yeah, we saw herO just gaining so much ground anyway, getting so much damage done, and yeah, GG. Those storms were crazy. They were beautiful storms. Very, very juicy storms towards the end. And herO does take game number 1. GG. Now we're getting into our second game. Now, again, keep your eye out on Classic. I do think he's going to play something similarly at some point in this series. I don't see herO doing this again, though. It's a best of 3. But I don't see him going for that like 4 carrier style again this series. Well, we'll see where this road takes us. As spawning in the top right hand corner of Altitude, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss representing CranKy Gaming. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming. Down in this series, it is Solar. Again, we saw some really good scouting from Solar, some really good reactions as a result. But when it came to the execution, though, a couple too many times his roaches were being caught out. Obviously, we saw big moments when his 4th base was killed and not cancelled. And that did give herO a lot more breathing room and a lot more momentum than I'm sure he really was expecting to get. And And Solar had to recover from a rough position from there. And we'll see if he can. As we're now loading into the largest map in the map pool. We're on altitude. Now, if herO were to rush into a fleet beacon and rush into additional stargates, I imagine he won't stop at 4. On a map like this, you can go all the way. You can just send it Papi and just go full sky toss at that point. That is something that you can do on this map. Of course, you do have to take a couple of steps to allow that to happen. And what I mean by that is that you can go for this very defensive tech-heavy style. Is you take a 3rd base, and you go into a robotics bay, double robot production, colossi. You slowly take a 4th base. You build up towards 4 colossi, and you can either move out from there or start taking up into sky toss, like either or. That is a style that we have seen work very well on altitude. Creator is very fond of a similar style, where instead of going for colossi, he just starts immortal production really early on, and he goes for an immortal archon composition on 4 bases. And then he pushes out with that, and if he doesn't kill you, then he goes into sky toss. So that is something that we can see. But again, it's herO we're talking about, and herO, he loves being aggressive. He loves being in your face. And he loves being unpredictable. And speaking of unpredictability, he goes for a sentry first? Oh my god. Okay, I mean, I guess it makes sense on altitude not to go for an adept, because it takes quite some time to get the adept across the map, but yeah, really defensive play here from herO. Going for a sentry into that stalker. With this sentry, you can go for a hallucination scout. You can, of course, throw down force fields defensively. And it's actually going to use the hallucination to shut down this overlord, okay? Fair enough. He kills the overlord and he can get a scout off. You love to see it. And on top of that, Solar, he gets supply blocked. He's got 2 more overlords on the way. He has no idea what's going on. Could be a Twilight Council opener, could be a Stargate, could be anything. Ay, ay, ay. That is a little bit brutal. Hallucination confirms no additional gases, no fast Baneling Nest, no fast Roach Warren, no fast Lair, and a 3rd base. herO just making sure everything is on the up and up. And Solar being as active as he can as active as he can be with these Lings. He does confirm the timing of the 3rd, so he knows it's not a Twilight Council. Ooh, and he slips in. herO a little bit out of position. Lings do get into the main base. They force the activation of the Pulsar Beam. Really good moments for those Lings, as it looks like someone lagged out. Quito. Quito. Looks like one of the casters did end up lagging out. But yeah, suddenly Solar, that was actually like really good of him. Not just to get a full scout, but to also waste energy as well. Very nicely done by Solar. Back at home, he's droning, saturating his bases, getting his queens in position. He's got 2 queens here at his 3rd. He's got 2 queens in the main. And he has Lings in production. We'll see if he can keep up with the aggression of herO. As he's going to be threatening a dive towards the 3rd. Adepts do not commit to the shade. And herO does not find a way in. Not yet. As the Adepts do come back. Oh, and 1 drone goes down. The Adepts, they do shade in towards that natural as well, but they are forced to recall. They don't find the damage they were looking for. As the Oracles, they dive into the main, but again, the Queens are waiting for them. And looking at the units lost tab, 1 drone. And we can see that herO, he has killed units and his opponent hasn't, but that is about to change. Oh, the Adepts do commit to the shade, which means that this 3rd base is looking very exposed. But the Lings are being chased down. And the Adepts do move out across the map. Uh-oh. Get into the natural, forcing a lot of lost mining time. The Lings do turn back around. They come back home, and that is a big gateway explosion. Oh my god. herO. He's going for a 3-base all-in. Now, if you were here for Nightmare versus Solar, exact same thing. This is going to be a 3-base +1 Blink Stalker all-in from herO. I believe 8 gateways in total. He's not taking his gases. He has a proxy gateway being set up across the map. He is looking to kill Solar here and now. And Solar, he is checking with his links. Is he going to come across the proxy location? No shot. He does. He scouts, he checks, he finds the pylon, he finds the gateway, and he's going to shut this down. Or is he? Stalkers are coming in, but the pylon will fall. The probe as well. Did cost a lot of lings, but that will slow down herO. Behind this, no Roach Warren. Solar, he's going to try to defend against this with Ling Hydra. Very bold move. Very risky. Here we go. Solar, he's sending his first wave of lings across the map, but he does get intercepted. Queens are going to try to hold on, but there's not that many of them. One queen goes down. The queens are trying to transfuse each other, but another queen falls as well. The lings, they arrive just in time. At the same time, we do have a backstab, and the gateway's depowered. And because we're on altitude, it takes so long to reinforce from across the map. It takes so long to warp in back at home. And we can see a transition. herO, he's throwing down gases. Gases, charges on the way, +1 air attack for Sky Toss. herO knows he cannot kill Solar. Not anymore. Solar has survived. Hydras are coming out. The Stalkers are being cornered. Oh, and those Hydras are doing so much damage in the back line. Solar, he completely shuts this down. And hero's in a really rough position. +2 is very late. You know, any additional tech is really late as well. This transition was not planned. This was not the plan initially. So everything here is delayed. There's no 4th base. And Solar's looking pretty comfortable. From here, he can drone up his 4th. He can take a 5th. He can work towards a hive. We'll see what Solar decides to go for. For now, he's amassing an army. For now, he is cutting workers at 72. Interesting. So 4-base saturation, or just under 4-base saturation, actually. Which tells me that Solar wants to max out on Ling Hydra and potentially look to end the game. He's maybe aware that herO is teching right now, that herO is vulnerable, and instead of settling down and getting further ahead and looking for a longer game for a secure win, like Solar, he's taking his chances. He's aware that herO is not in the best position right now, and Solar, he's going for the kill move. It's like, sure, he could have a hive and like lurkers on the way and stuff like that, but where's the fun in that? Where's the sport in that as Banelings are rolling into it? No! The probes! They came back too soon. The entire mineral line is going to be going down at the same time. The army's pushing forward. Storm is not done. The High Templar! No! The High Templar will go down. Not a single Storm will be thrown down. Storm is now done, but the High Templar, there's only one. GG gets called, and Solar ties up the series 1-1. Ugh. GG. GG, well played. A very close timing from Solar. Again, he hit just before Storm. He got on top of the High Templar just before Storm finished as well. And if Solar had waited maybe 10 more seconds before he started attacking, maybe herO defends and he holds on to his 4th, and then he's working towards Sky Toss, right? He's got the Fleet Beacon on the way, he's got +1 air attack on the way, and we get a very different game, especially considering that Solar, he didn't saturate his 4th and he wasn't working on a hive. So a really risky move. A really risky move out of Solar, but clearly it did pay off, and we are going to the ace match. Let's go. We are going all the way. And we have an ace match. We are going all the way to game number 3 and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gressvan. We have the best Protoss in South Korea, arguably the best Protoss in the world, the red Protoss player representing CranKy Gaming. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming. It is Solar. Successfully shutting down the 3-base all-in from herO and being able to cripple and kill herO from there before he could get into a longer game, before he could get into a macro game. Again, punishing herO for that failed all-in. But how will it all end in game 3? Now, I don't expect herO to... Again, we've seen 2 things so far from him. We saw the 8-gate all-in that was on altitude. Before that, we saw, what was it? 8-gate charge into 4 carriers into ground toss. We saw that on Ancient Sister, and I don't expect to see either of those. Stargate opener, yes, but Gressvan does kind of allow for a couple of different playstyles. Gressvan, you can be hyper-aggressive on this map, of course. You can go for these big all-ins, especially as a Zerg player. You can just kind of go for a bit of a creep highway or even a German taxi. Go for a big Roach Queen all-in, especially if you recognize your opponent is being very tech-heavy. But some of the big features of Gressvan is if we look for a longer game, then a Protoss player can take a 3rd, take a 4th, and once this center 4th base is established, suddenly this 5th and 6th base are so much easier to take control of, and you can cut the map in half. We have seen a lot of late game ZVPs on Gressvan as a result, where the map is cut in half and we have Skytoss versus, Broodlord Infestor, Corruptors, Spore Forests. It does happen more often than any other map. Does happen on Gressvan more often than any other map. Not just in ZVP, but also PvZ as well. With, Tank Ghost, like these siege lines against Zerg. In a way, it's like Gressvan is the new Data C. If you were around in the previous map pool, Data C was likewise very macro-oriented. A lot of split map scenarios. We'll see if we go in that direction. Am I ready for a 40-minute game? Yo, let's go. I'm ready for it. Give it to me, Papi. Give it to me. As for now, it is going to be a Stargate opener here from herO. Nothing too crazy. Getting into his initial adepts. Moving out across the map. Keeping an eye on things. Picking up a drone if at all possible. But more than anything, just making sure that he's not being 2-base all-in. Making sure that Solar is honest. And, ooh. herO. He is mixing it up. And he's going for a Void Ray first. Okay. For the first time this series, we do have a Void Ray opener. Now, this doesn't mean Skytoss. It doesn't mean he has to continue Void Ray production, but it could. That's the danger of this, is the Void Ray is going to shut down this Overlord, and Solar won't know if there's a second Void Ray on the way or an Oracle on the way. Or he shouldn't know. As the Overlord is going to be shut down, it does spot the Oracle being produced, but of course, once the Overlord dies, we could just cancel it and get into a Void Ray. So Solar is going to be working with incomplete information as he is relinquishing map control. As we get into some massive chat to Fernando, papi. A long-time supporter of the channel, Fernando in the chat. Thank you so much for resubscribing. 30 months. 30 months in a row. Oh my god. So many months. So many, almost 3 years. Thank you, papi. Thank you. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate it. Long time, long time. Of course, all the money that we make on this channel goes towards our tournaments, so thank you so much. As these adepts are going ham across the map. Oh my god, doing an insane amount of damage, I'm afraid to look. 8 drones for 2 adepts. 8 workers do go down. At the same time, the Oracle gets 2 drones here on the right-hand side. Solar being picked apart. 8 drones isn't game-ending, but we're not done. We have another Oracle hitting the field. Lings try to harass this 3rd base location, but the Void Ray is standing strong. And we have our follow-up. It's going to be a Twilight Council and a Forge, so everything's looking normal. It should be +1 and Blink on the way. everything is looking as it should, as the Oracles are looking for more damage. So far, no hull damage, only shields. Solar is even supply blocked, losing what looks to be another Overlord on the front lines. So a really shaky start here from Solar as these Oracles, they go ham, getting another couple of drones. This time for some hull damage, but again, well worth it here for herO. And after doing so much economic damage, I wouldn't be surprised if we get into a gateway explosion. So far, only 6 gateways here from herO. He can throw down his gases, or he can throw down 2 more gateways. We'll see what he goes for. Does he go for the 1-2 punch, or does he go for a longer game instead? As Solar, he's not droning. Because Solar has, it's either because he lost so many workers or because this was his initial plan. We see Solar going for a Queen Walker across the map. We were talking about, you know, something like a German taxi earlier, and we have a creep highway. We're sending everything out to the Queens, the Roaches. Solar, he's going for one big all-in. He lost too many drones, and it's not worth coming back from that. herO does spot this ahead of time. We have a shield battery. We have 2 shield batteries, an overcharge, a cannon, sentries for force fields. And herO throws down 2 more gateways. Does he have what it takes to hold on? Can he survive? Now Solar's all in. Vials will be connecting with those force fields. They look to take down the cannon as well. Overcharge 1 second too late. The cannon will fall. Oh, and that wasn't Artosis pylon. The shield batteries are depowered. The boys have to be pulled, but really good target firing from herO. He takes down the Ravagers, and there is not enough Zerg. GG gets called. herO takes the series 2-1, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. Oh, Solo just sustaining too many losses early on, committing to an all-in from there, and it was spotted ahead of time. herO, he was able to muster up his forces, muster up an army. He had, of course, shield batteries, cannons, sentries, everything he needed. Initially, things looked okay for Solar, but again, his reinforcements were trickling in. He just did not have enough to break herO then and there. It was all or nothing, and herO did hold. GG. GG. herO does take down Solar in the end. Good effort by Solar. Not the game that I wanted at Aggressvan, but it just goes to show that even at the highest level of play, herO can get out of control. He can snowball, and it can just become too much. Whether he's playing against Dark or Solar, he's done it against Reina as well, where his initial Adepts and Oracles just do game-ending damage, and it's just too much. And it forces a reaction like that. It forces an all-in. So very impressive stuff there by herO. He does take the series. And we are now here to determine who faces herO in the grand finals. As we mentioned their names earlier, the other top Zerg and Protoss in Korea, it is Dark and Classic. Let's go.